Welcome back to the channel. We're getting the Scout Sportfish ready for upcoming spring. It's daylight savings today, so it's finally bright in the afternoon, and gonna polish and wax the boat, get it ready. So show where it's at right now. So back when we restored it, we just used like off-the-shelf stuff to get the oxidation off, but there's still some scratches. It's shiny on the outside, but on the inside there's still some spots, like the top of the gunnels, and then back here along the transom there's some screw holes that got to be fixed over time, and then especially around the splash well is really, it's not really oxidized, but it's still a little chalky. The console I did do over the winter. I pulled everything off the console, and it's got a little bit of a shine to it, but it's not like that mirror finish, and everything's smooth, but it can certainly be better. So let's head on into the shop. I'll show you what we got that we're working with. So I reached out to Starke and got their sample kit that we're going to be working with this summer and spring. So the reds are all your sealers and polishes, and then the greens are your waxes and sealants, and then the blues are everything else. So today specifically, we're gonna start, and we're primarily focusing on inside the cockpit. I'm gonna save the hull for another day since we store it outside. We'll wait till a longer day where it's not gonna rain. But we're gonna start with level R, and that's their extra heavy cut. And they recommend using either a wool or their purple pads. They make it really simple. You see blaze, elevate, and finish R is what they recommend for this pad. I only have one of these, so I'm going to replace it with the Grant's heavy cut microfiber, and these are 3-inch, so I'll talk about the buffers in just a second. So we're going to start with that with level R, and then we're going to switch to elevate, which is their medium cut compound, and that's where we're going to switch over to the purple pad to hit it with elevate. And then finally we'll finish off with ignition, which is their finishing polish, and we're going to use the black. I don't have their Starke black pad. I've got a stack of Grant's finishing pads, so we're going to use that in the 3-inch. And then there's two other polishes, so we'll do all the aluminum and the metal. I'll do that by hand. And then the one other that they have that's kind of newer is Triple P, and that says primer polish. So typically you would pick, from my understanding, you would pick right here. So if you're going to go the traditional route with either a sealant or a wax, you would want to finish off with ignition. If you plan on ceramic coating or graphene coating your boat, that's where you're going to use Triple P, and that's the primer for prep, primer and polish, and that'll create a coating that's ready for ceramic and graphene to adhere to. And now that's ceramic in the traditional sense of putting it on with a foam pad, not like a SiO2 polymer wax, in that case of a ceramic coating. So in that case, we're not going to use him for now. We're going to stick with level R, elevate, and ignition. And once we're done with ignition, we're actually going to switch over and use their traditional cream base SiO2 polymer wax, which is HYPERHOLD Pro. And they recommend using another black pad. So I've got another Grant's finishing pad in 3-inch. And then they also have Revolution, which is just like your basic cleaner wax. It's more like a polish, but of course we're going to use the Ultra UV protection of the HYPERHOLD Pro. since we're here in coastal South Carolina, and the boat does spend 365 days of the year outside. So on the other side of the spectrum, we've got the blue, and that's all their various different cleaners. So we've got Venom, which is water spot cleaner, and also like heavy rust. So you'd squirt that on there, agitate it with like a stiff bristle brush, and that's more like a spot treatment of the boat. You got Mildew Clean. It's tried and true. It'll get every mold and mildew out of cushions and any of your gel coat, especially in center consoles where it likes to grow. We've got Hydrate RTU. That's our waterless wash. I've never used one of these. I'm looking forward to trying it. I've seen those kind of taken off, the whole waterless wash when you get off the water before you got on the boat. Then you've got your SiO2 spray sealant for the hard to reach areas. So once you use HYPERHOLD Pro, you can spray replenish like down in the gutters of your hatches and things where it's hard to get your sealant in. And then also just to like touch up after you've done HYPERHOLD. Then you've got your 3 basic soaps. You've got Simple Clean, which is just your multi-purpose soap. You have Pure Clean, which is basic, tried and true boat soap. And then now we've got Ultra Clean, which is the same thing as Pure Clean, but now we've got the SiO2 polymers in there to help bead water. So that's the sample kit. And then I went ahead and I've seen Ultra Clean before and used it. So I went ahead and picked up a big 32-ounce bottle of Ultra Clean, and that's what we'll wash the boat with periodically. But once we're done with everything and the boat's coated, the plan is to just use Salt Clean every time. And I'll certainly be talking about this in all of our videos this spring and summer when we fish. This has kept our trailer looking brand new since the day we got it almost 4 years ago. Every time we get off the water, the first thing I do when I get home is flush the outboard with some Salt Clean and rinse off the trailer. And with everything coated, all the salt should just fall right off the gel coat with gravity. So that's the goal. Of course, we're not going to be using those two, or really many of these. We'll certainly be using the Venom in a few spots today, but most of those will be held off for later in another video this spring, so stay tuned for that. We're really focusing on the cockpit and the polishing. So in our case, we're using the Griot's Random Orbital 3-inch. That's mainly what I'm going to use. I picked him up a while back to help really with the console of the boat and inside the cockpit along the gunnels. And then I have the basic Bauer rotary polisher. I got the Hercules adapter and switched it over to 5-inch instead of 7, so there were more pads widely available. That we'll certainly use for the main areas of the hull, but for inside the gunnels, it's only maybe 12-14 inches tall, so it'll take a little longer, but we'll just hit it with the Random Orbital 3-inch. But that's what we're gonna start with today, so I'll film a few clips as we start going. But excited to try out these Starke products and see the difference that it's going to make on this boat that was made in 2002. So I'm about to get started. I wanted to show, so I have just basically washed the boat and let it air dry the last couple days with just basic boat soap, and that's gotten all, there's still some dirt and debris I'm going to blow out in just a second. But taking a look at the gunnels, there's some gloss and shine, like it's clean, but it can certainly be better. And same thing with that side. The tops of the gunnels, everything's smooth, so everything's been cut and there's no more like oxidation. We just don't have the shine that we're looking for. It's kind of still real flat. It's not glossy. So the main goal in all of this is trying to get that gloss back. Like even right here, like the sun's hitting it, and you can see some like reflective spots, and it's smooth. There's not chalk in it, but even like right here, like you can see that there's no gloss. It's just more like satin or flat, and it looks way better when it's wet. So that's kind of the telltale sign that we need to try and polish and bring back some of that gloss. And there's certainly some areas that are better than others that still have some of that gloss or that shine. You can really tell it inside the live well hatches. It just needs to be polished. For sure the transom is really flat. But I mean, we have reflection. You can see the speaker reflecting and some stuff reflecting in some spots. But we can certainly bring back some of that gloss. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and I'll pick up periodically along the way. So we're starting up at the bow. We're starting with level R. So I did level R up at the top, and then I split the boat in half, and I'm doing level R, elevate, and ignition only on this half back to the speaker to kind of show a comparison. So level R was, I'll do all three up top, and then I'm not going to do anything on the casting area. But I just put down the level R on this half, and it did clean it up. I mean, I'm not sure how much is going to show up in camera, but I mean, you are getting some beginnings of some reflection and certainly shadow on this side. And then over here, it's not as much. I need to get a light. But like I said, this is still smooth. It got the oxidation off, but it's not nearly as smooth as this side. And this is still the first step. And I did the gunnels back to the push-pull clips. But you can start to see the sun starting to reflect. And of course, this was the first step, and I am doing the non-skid. So with the microfiber polisher, I did the non-skid. I did the underside of the hatch, which you are starting to get some reflection back. And I did the edges of it as well. But now we're going to switch over to elevate on the purple pad and knock out the top. And then this whole half back to here with the purple elevate pad. Just finished the elevate step. So this side of the boat, like I said, is done with just your basic one-step oxidation cut and compound, and then I did just a wax on top of it a couple years ago. But if you're looking here, so once again, this half, you're starting to get some like basic reflection, but you don't have the shine down here, or even like the high gloss up here. It's just kind of flat, and then that has flat. So just from the two steps with level R and then elevate, now on this side you can already see the sun. So I did do this just to get a flat surface, and even up there you can kind of tell you're starting to get so much like sun reflection and the non-skid and all these angles, and you've got about the same like reflection. But I mean, focusing up here at this corner, just like you can see it way better in person. You're starting to get the shine and the reflection back off of the deck hinges, and it just looks clean. And I mean, you can kind of see the bottle reflecting. I mean, in person, and I'll try and fix it on post-processing, I can read Starke on the bottle reflecting in the gel coat, and I'll take some pictures and put it up right here. And then of course over on this side, so we'll do the same area. I mean, I see the outline of the bottle, but you can't read the bottle. You just see the general shape of the bottle here in the corner. And especially on that side, you can see it. And then over here, after doing Elevate, I can read Starke in the reflection. And I mean, this is the level I was kind of at before, if not certainly a little better. It's just the overall shine through the non-skid and through all the flat spots. So now we're going to switch over and do ignition and get that high gloss, and then we're going to seal it all off with the HYPERHOLD Pro. Wrapped up with the HYPERHOLD Pro, which of course once again is the cream base SiO2 sealant with extra UV protectant, basically their version of wax. So once again, just the right half, but you can certainly tell that it just like refined everything. Like, we are slick smooth now. I mean, I cut it all the way down where you can see it cleaned out all the pores in the old gel coat, and it's like slick, but it's not like a wet slick like some of the other brands. It like kind of leaves an oily residue, for lack of better words. This doesn't have this. It's just smooth gel coat. I doubt you can pick it up. We'll see. You can kind of hear like rough. Like this is smooth, but you can hear your fingers in it. And then over here there's nothing. I mean, this feels like a brand new boat out of the mold. And especially for a beat up boat, I mean, there's filler all over the place and little nicks and cracks. I mean, it's 25 years old almost. And it came back, and the shine is crazier than I thought it would be. This area in particular, and I hate that you probably can't tell in video, but just the shine in this corner compared to the shine in that corner. I mean, the shadow line is the same, and now the sun's about to come back out again and really make it pop. But I mean, the shadow line's the same. It's right at the deck hatch. But this area, the shine goes halfway, and then it's shiny, but it's dull. It's not very glossy like this. I mean, that's all the way down the side. You can see the non-skid reflecting back in the gunnels. And I mean, that side is in the sun, but still, even up top, I'm just noticing more. Like, you can see the outline of the gutter, and there's nothing on this side. So far, I mean, you can see the reflection of the gutter on that side of the gunnel. So far, I'm very pleased with what I've got going. Of course, that's just that front area. And I mean, I was probably 45 minutes for all three steps to do half the bow. So it does take some time. Of course, I'm using a 3-inch orbital instead of something bigger like a 5. I'm gonna switch and do the 5-inch and hit some of the bigger areas, like the big casting platform, and then do some of the gunnels and just try out some different areas. But wanted to keep this video kind of first thoughts and a look at installing it. Level R, and we followed that with Elevate, and we followed Elevate with Ignition, and then we sealed everything with the HYPERHOLD Pro. So that was that step. I'm gonna do a few more different areas around the boat with different things, but that's like the basics to get everything cut and ready for polish. And Starke by far has the best results out of anything that I've personally used on the boat or seen in boats in the past, like just the shine that came back from where it started. And it's hard with the way cameras work to really pick up the shine, but from where this was that I was happy with, like here, like you see the reflection, but it's not shiny, it's not glossy. And then you come over here and you have like gloss reflection. I mean, it looks like the boat's wet right now. So I would certainly recommend trying out the Starke products. They do sell the sample kit. If you want to follow what I did and pick up the sample kit and try it out on the boat before committing to buying the 32-ounce bottles, I'd highly recommend it if you got an older boat. But we're gonna try out some of the other products on some other spots around the boat. So I kind of put the camera down, knocked out the rest of the boat, except for HYPERHOLD Pro. That's the only thing I've not done on the boat. We've got a nice spring storm coming in, so I gotta get everything packed up and get the boat covered again. I'm gonna try and show the best as I can now that it's overcast and about to storm, but by far best product I've ever used cleaning this boat. So I've done all the gunnels. I've not done the floor. I'm doing that last, and I'm gonna do it with Elevate and then Ignition. So I've found out that I don't need leveler because the oxidation wasn't that bad, that using Elevate on a microfiber pad actually got very similar results. So the shine is next level. I've never seen the shine like this before. You could really see it. Get this black power cord. When the black power cord was down on the ground, there you go, up against the gunnel. I mean, it's storming and there's that much reflection. I'm going to show what the process was. So I've already finished everything on the hull. I'm ready to do the ceramic wax or sealant at this point, so I'll show the boat in just a second, but it's taken a few hours to get to this point. I've still got to do the aluminum on the leaning post with the metal polish, but here's what we kind of worked with. So this is the whole lineup of everything that I used. So I started off with level R, which is a compound and polish, extra heavy cut. I used that on either a blue pad or a microfiber pad, and that kind of takes out some of the heavy oxidation. So I used this on the hull. Like I mentioned, some of my gunnel areas didn't need this, so I mainly only used this on the floor, which I had never coated, and then certain spots on the outside of the hull. So from there I moved to Elevate, and I used that on Starke's purple pad. That's a medium cut compound. And then from there I went to Triple P. So originally in the video I was using Ignition on a black foam pad, and I did that up around the deck area, and the intention was to use Ignition and then jump over to HYPERHOLD Pro, which you saw earlier in the video. So this is like your traditional cream base SiO2 sealant that goes on with a black foam finishing pad, and then you wipe it off. So what I decided to do, so that's like the classic traditional route. You'd have Ignition here, then you'd go to there, and it'd be a 4-step process, and then you can spray a sealant, I forget which one it is, but you can spray it every once in a while during your waxes. What I decided to do was move to Triple P after Elevate. So that's a primer polish. It is still a compound, but the benefit of it is it finishes, it leaves a super glossy surface, and it allows maximum adhesion for coating and waxes. And it's a prep polish plus, and that it's basically right here, a primer polish for installing quartz base ceramics. So what I decided to do was try out this summer, and I'll keep updating as we film videos and everything through the summer, but I went to HydroGuard, and that's what I'm about to spray everywhere. So the whole boat, inside out, the outboard, everything has been coated in triple P. So now I'm going to go through with HydroGuard, and that's a water-based quartz spray sealant. And it's a ceramic SiO2 quartz boosted. It's apparently supposed to give extreme slickness and gloss. It's got UV protectant, it's safe on all your finishes, and it's resistant to heat. And it's a substitute for cream-based polymers, or paste wax, which in their case is HYPERHOLD Pro. So all you gotta do is basically mist it onto a dry surface, work in with a microfiber towel, and you want to use like a heavy weave, something that's not going to leave any kind of lint behind, and then buff off with a second rag, and then it's going to take 24 to 48 hours to cure. My plan is to do another coat tomorrow, and then you want to wait at least a week before washing the boat. And that can mist on everything, so I'm going to mist it on the outboard and everywhere. So that's kind of the wash wax protecting polish side of it. Then on all the rust stains, you saw we used Venom, which is their water spot remover. This you do not want to get on your MFD screens or any kind of glass. You don't want to use, or not glass, like plastics, like polycarbonate or gauge clusters, anything like that. But it is safe because it's a high pH. It's not like bleach or hull cleaner or anything. It is safe, and it will not strip your ceramic coating. So this is something you can do at any point. I went ahead and did it before the ceramic coating. And then what I'm about to do now is the metal polish, and that's for everything, including anodized aluminum, and basically just remove a lot of the hard water spots everywhere. That's pretty much where we're at, but everything is pretty shiny. I doubt you'll be able to tell still, but it's just overall very clean, very polished. It's very bright outside now, but it just looks clean. Alright, so just wrapped up. I hope this video was somewhat helpful in all of this. I'd certainly recommend Starke. I had really good results, best results I've ever had, and that was with the steps that I showed. I just finished doing the HydroGuard across the whole boat, and I took some better pictures, but I mean, you can see reflecting in the gelcoat, the Yeti bottle on the ground, and I can read the stickers. And that, I mean, that is way shinier than I've ever seen this. It's smooth. I did HydroGuard on the trolling motor also, but overall, a little bit of work. I mean, typically you don't have to do all the steps from level R all the way back up like I did, but even that, it wasn't bad. I'd recommend a 3-inch random orbital polisher if you don't have one. I didn't before too long ago, but it certainly makes polishing a boat a lot easier and all the small cracks. I mean, I only used the 6-inch for the sides, but everything else was done with the 3-inch. It took a little longer, but doing the spray wax certainly helped. I mean, I doubt you'll be able to see, but I mean, the reflection in the shadow where the rigging tube goes in, I never had that reflecting before. Checking out the video. Once again, this is honest review of Starke Products. I mean, they didn't send anything to me. I got it at a discount, but this is all my uncut thoughts of it. And I'll certainly be using it moving forward. But check out the videos coming this summer. We'll use the Salt Clean and the Ultra Boat Soap with the SiO2 in it if you really want to see more in depth. But honest review, pick up the sample kit and try it out on your boat. I mean, this is a 17-foot Scout, and I did almost the whole boat with these little sample bottles. Like, if I had one more sample bottle of Elevate and Ignition, I could knock out the whole boat. And I was not using it sparingly. I mean, all of my pads are still just coated in wax, and I was using it very, very, very lividly. But yeah, thanks for checking out the video. See y'all on the next adventure.